What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Happy Sunday. Hope you guys are doing well. We're going to be pushing back the rookie deep dives for another day. We're going to be starting on the Jalen Milroe stuff tomorrow. And today I want to talk about something just a little bit different, something that has gotten the attention of some Seahawks fans, something that has gotten the attention of some general NFL talkers in general, because it is a pretty interesting element of an offseason. So we're going to talk a little bit about early 2025 prognostications and understand that even though we are months away from the start of the season, for the most part, things are set. We've had free agency, we've had the draft, we've had quite a few trades. There may be some more trades coming, but for the most part, we know what these teams are going to look like when the season starts. Now, there are a few things that remain rattling around, like the Steelers with their quarterback situation. What is Aaron Rodgers going to do? What's going to become of Kirk Cousins? It's not all set, but it's pretty well set on most of these teams. So when we look at this stuff, we have to know that it's pretty close to finalized. And not much is going to shift anything. And I would say for the Seahawks, that goes double because they've made their moves. They traded their players. They made their picks with the picks they got for those players, by the way, in part. So it's kind of settled. And I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at what people think the Seahawks are going to do in 2025 now that things have settled, because this has obviously been a topic of some conversation recently, especially because of, well, you'll see. First, though, please like this video, click the thumbs up button down below, subscribe if you're new, click the bell for notifications, become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to help support the channel. Let's just start at the top with NFL win totals straight from Las Vegas. What is the over-under for the Seahawks win total in 2025, according to Vegas? Well, this article on covers.com lists them all out. And if you go down to the Seahawks, 7.5. That's right, 7.5 wins. You're doing slightly better betting on the over on that than the under, at least in terms of probability. Plus 110 for under, minus 130 for over. But 7.5 is where Vegas started us off. So that's a not very high number. And the Seahawks have only failed to win 7 games once since 2012, right? Yeah, the one year that they did not win more than 7 games was the year where Russell Wilson missed about a month. And that was the year that ultimately got Russell Wilson traded. And he wasn't playing that well even when he was out there. And that was also when the defense was really, really starting to stretch the boundaries of bend, don't break. It was a very, very lackluster season. They still got to 7 wins, by the way, so they were very close. But other than that, this is a mark the Seahawks have met every year since Russell Wilson came to town. And that includes the years since he left. So it's not a very complimentary number, and some Seahawks fans are buzzing about it a little bit. Now, let me say one thing. I want to say one thing about this to be very clear here. When Vegas, when the betting odds, when the casinos, when the sports books put out a number, that number is not reflective of what the sports books think will happen. They are reflective of what Vegas thinks the people think will happen. Because ultimately, their goal is to set the total at a number that they believe they will get a relatively equal number of bettors on both sides. That way, they're guaranteed to win no matter what. Then they just collect the VIG. So if they get an equal amount of money on both sides of the bet, then they can collect the VIG. Ultimately, that is their goal. So this is not a reflection of what the sports books actually think the Seahawks will do. It is a reflection of what they believe public perception is. Nevertheless, this has kicked off some I don't know if I want to call it anger, because I don't think people really get angry about this stuff. I mean, I understand getting angry about the team actually not being good, but getting angry about people thinking your team isn't going to be good, like that's kind of a waste of time, right? Let's just wait for the season at that point. But there was certainly some discussion about this, whether or not this is a reasonable number. And there are a few different things that you need to take into account here, right? On the one hand, the Seahawks won 10 games last year, and they seem to have a relatively soft schedule for 2025. I think that's the most compelling argument you can make against this being a good number. And look, we don't know the exact schedule yet, but we do know who we're going to play. It does not look bad. I mean, just to pull it up real quick here to give you an idea, I mean, let's look at the schedule. You've got the division. The division has a chance to be pretty lackluster. This could be a transition year for the Niners. The Rams are probably going to go for it, but the Cardinals are probably going to be the same okay team that they typically peak out to be at. I don't think the Cardinals are going to be some big threat. You've got teams like the Colts, who have a very underwhelming quarterback battle going on right now and are just generally an uninspiring team. The Saints lost their quarterback yesterday to retirement. Who knows what they're going to do? I think Tampa Bay is going to slip dramatically, losing Liam Cohen to Jacksonville. Minnesota has lost some stuff from last year. I don't know if it's enough to derail them. It could be enough to at least knock them off their rhythm. You've got the Falcons, not really sure what to make of them. Panthers, I don't know if I see much there. You got teams like Jacksonville and Tennessee, two of the worst teams in the league last year. The Commanders should be good, but then you've got the Steelers, who right now have, Mason Rudolph at quarterback and might be looking to trade TJ Watt before the season. Like, this is not an inspiring schedule. Now, if you look at Sharp Football Analysis, they put together this nice little chart here where they list out NFL strength of schedule based on Vegas forecasted win totals. And you can see Seattle is just slightly easier than average, ranking 13th overall. Niners running away with this, by the way. Easiest schedule in the league by a wide margin. But remember, this is based off the Vegas forecasted win totals. I think if you just used raw win totals from last year, you would come up with a softer schedule than that. So there is that element here. And I actually think that consideration alone makes 7.5 a pretty good bet. Like, all I have to do is win 8 games and I win an over bet on the Seahawks win total. I think that's a pretty decent bet. I think that's pretty reasonable. And I don't feel like I need to say that much more to advocate for this number being at least a little bit low. 8.5 would have lined up a little bit more with my expectations. Now, I will say this. I think this offseason has been pretty bad for the Seahawks. I think this offseason has been pretty disappointing. And while maybe it ends up setting us up for success down the line, like the year after or the year after that, I think that in terms of trying to have a good 2025, they haven't done a very good job. And maybe that's okay if it means success later, but we're not going to know about that for later. So on that level, I can understand expecting the team to take a step back. I think we made a significant downgrade at the quarterback position. I think that we didn't really do all that much to improve the offensive line. I think the offensive line is pretty much entirely dependent on Abe Lucas staying healthy if they want to make a non-trivial improvement from 2024. We did not address the nose tackle position. We got, at the very least, somewhat weaker at wide receiver. We did improve. There are two things that really stand out to me about this offseason in terms of immediate improvement. You've got Clint Kubiak. I like that hire. I think he's going to be really good. And we got DeMarcus Lawrence, right? I would say both of those things are very good and should make us better. And I think our defense is going to carry. I think our defense alone will be enough to win 8 games. I really do. I think that you look at the defense last year, which was at the very least above average if you were to look at the total sum of it. And you're talking about a full year of Ernest Jones, whereas we only had half a year last year. You're talking about a much better edge room because Uchenna should play more than he played last year. You added D-Law. I think that's going to be better. I think second-year Byron Murphy, even if he's out of position, should be a lot better than rookie Byron Murphy. I think that you're going to get better stuff out of Devin Witherspoon. I think he did have a little bit of a sophomore slump last year that should get better. And overall, I think this defense is going to carry. But I'm definitely worried about the offense. I think the downgrade at quarterback is maybe not massive, but significant. I think the Cooper Kupp thing can go either way. I'm not sure about that one. I will admit that DK Metcalf didn't necessarily do a heck of a lot in the second half of the year last year, so it wouldn't be impossible or even that hard to replace what he was doing for us in the second half of 2024. But if Cooper Kupp gets hurt, it's certainly not going to be him doing it, and there isn't necessarily a heck of a lot behind Cooper Kupp that has a chance to realistically replace that production or that threat, really. So that stuff concerns me. I'm not enamored with, okay, I don't think our rookie class is bad. I don't think our draft is bad, but I do think that there will be some real growing pains, and I don't expect big things from most of our rookie class. I mean, you have guys like Jalen Milroe that may not even play as a rookie, like, at all, but then you also have guys like Gray Zabel who are going to be going through a massive difficulty spike going from North Dakota State to the NFL. You've got guys like Emin Wari who might just be a third safety. So I do think our offseason was bad, and I do think it pulls us down a little bit from where we were last year. But I don't believe that it's enough to overcome some of the inherent good things here, like the defense, like McDonald, like the positive impact that I suspect Kubiak will have. So this does strike me as a little bit low. I don't think it's a bad idea to assume that the public is going to think poorly of a team that is quarterbacked by Sam Darnold and just lost at least one, maybe both of their more high-profile players. I know that the general public is pretty divided on Geno, but losing a guy like a DK Metcalf, even if he is a flawed player, the public is going to look at that and go, wow, that's a big piece they lost. Are they going to be able to replace him? Probably not. So I can understand why Vegas comes to this conclusion. So if you pop around and look around the other places on the internet, you can find other takes on how the Seahawks are going to do in 2025. In my experience, some of them are mediocre, some of them are bad. Like you have Fox Sports did a post-draft power ranking. They put the Seahawks at 17th, slightly below average, which would mark them as a, 8-win to 9-win team, somewhere around there. So right near the middle. Okay, that's a reasonable expectation, I think. And then, just as an example, we got NFL Spin Zone here. They put together a post-draft prediction article, and they said the Seahawks are going to win 5 games, which I guess that is the worst-case scenario. It involves quite a few injuries. It involves quite a few negative outcomes playing out, but it does strike me as a little bit of an overreach. I don't think, even in a pretty bad scenario where Sam Darnold is the pumpkin that he could be, admittedly, and the rookies don't make meaningful contributions, and Cooper Kupp gets hurt, and this and that. Okay, 5 wins is, I guess, feasible, but I still think you're looking at like at least 6 or 7. It's not that hard to get to 6 or 7 wins, especially with a schedule like this. And by the way, I do find it interesting that most people thought our draft was great. Like, most people thought the draft was better than I did, and they're still giving us these pretty meager predictions. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I kind of get it, but this just seems a little bit over the top to me. How many other teams are worse off than us according to Vegas? It's mostly the dregs of the NFL. You know, the Jets, the Giants, the Titans, the Saints, who now don't have their quarterback, by the way. So the teams that are on the level of the Seahawks in terms of Vegas projection, I don't know if we belong down there with them. And again, I'm somebody who didn't really like this offseason. So When it comes from me, maybe it means something a little bit more. All right, let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks.